All right, listen up. If you're a US investor and you're ignoring the signal that's hiding inside these new XRP ETFs, you're basically kissing your entire 2026 bull run profit goodbye. I mean it. It's that simple. And while everybody else is just staring at this flat, boring chart, wondering where the action is, billions, and I mean billions, of institutional dollars are quietly flooding into XRP. But here's the crazy part, the twist. It's all happening through this backdoor mechanism, one that's designed to suppress the price, to keep it totally invisible on the public exchanges. So you've got to stick with me here because by the end of this explainer, I promise you, you will understand exactly how this pressure cooker is working and why being patient right now is literally the key to unlocking your long-term wealth. All right, let's get into it. Okay, first things first, let's just call it what it is. This market is boring, right? It feels like we're watching paint dry. Nothing is happening. And look, if you're feeling frustrated by that, trust me, you are not alone. But here's the thing. This sideways price action, it's actually telling us a really, really important story. Just take a look at this. It's almost like they're moving in lockstep. For about 21 days now, Bitcoin has been consolidating, right? And it's forming what we call a higher low pattern. Now, that might sound boring, but it's actually a subtle but super important sign of underlying strength. And at the exact same time, you've got XRP stuck in a nearly identical holding pattern, retesting its monthly lows. So both of these giants are locked in this, well, this frustrating sideways dance. And that brings us to the critical price levels that you absolutely have to be watching. So for Bitcoin, the magic number is $93,600. Write that down. A daily candle close above that level, that's the first real signal we're looking for. It's the green light for short-term relief, a sign that the bulls might finally be waking up and taking back control. Now, for XRP, the number is $1.90. And let me be crystal clear, this line has to hold. It is the absolute line in the sand. Why? Because if it breaks, we could see a really quick, nasty drop into what traders call a fair value gap. Think of it like an air pocket. There's just not much buying support down there. We could be looking at $1.62 in a hurry. So yeah, this is the defensive line for the XRP bulls. No question about it. But see, here's where it gets really interesting. The price on the chart, that's only half the story. Not even. Because while everyone is glued to the screen, getting distracted by all this day-to-day chop, Ripple is playing a different game. They're making massive, foundational moves behind the scenes that the market has completely, totally failed to price in. $200 million. Let that sink in. That's what Ripple just dropped to acquire a company called RLUSD. And this isn't just some random shopping spree, folks. This is a calculated, strategic strike. They're literally building the financial plumbing for the next massive wave of global enterprise adoption. So check this out. This is Ripple's playbook, laid out perfectly. Step 1, they buy the infrastructure. That's RLUSD, a big player in B2B payments. Step 2, they plug in their own stablecoin, RLUSD. Now this is the genius part. This lets huge, massive companies make seamless global payments without ever having to directly touch or hold crypto. They don't even know they're using it. And the final step, the endgame, a massive, massive boost in real-world utility and demand for the entire Ripple ecosystem. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so you see what's happening, right? You've got Ripple over here building this incredible utility engine, and then you've got the big institutions over there lining up to pour in billions of dollars. And when you put those two things together, it creates this great mystery, this central paradox that every single XRP holder is asking right now, which is this. How is it possible that after 19 straight days of positive inflows into XRP ETFs, we're talking nearly $1 billion of institutional cash, how is the price chart completely flat? I mean, on the surface, it makes absolutely no sense. But the answer, my friends, is hiding in some pretty simple market mechanics. Okay, just look at these numbers. It tells the whole story. XRP is a $122 billion asset. It's a behemoth. Now, that daily ETF inflow we're all so excited about, it's averaging around $27 million. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a ton of money. But compared to the size of the whole market, it's a drop in the ocean. It's like trying to move a freight train by pushing it with your bare hands. The scale is just completely off, for now. So the big question is, how does this all resolve? I mean, something has to give, right? Well, this is where we get into the real insider mechanics. This is the pressure cooker thesis that explains what's really going on beneath the surface and why those ETF inflows matter way, way more than you think. The whole secret comes down to two words: over the counter, or OTC deals. See, when a giant firm like BlackRock or 21 Shares needs to get their hands on a ton of XRP for their ETFs, they're not just logging into Coinbase and smashing the buy button like we do. No way. They're making private deals behind closed doors directly with other large holders. They're buying up massive blocks of XRP without ever touching the public market, so they don't cause a huge price spike. That is the backdoor mechanism we were talking about. So you get it? The most crucial point here is that the price impact is being intentionally delayed. All that buying pressure from the institutions, it's being absorbed off market. It's just building up silently, like steam inside a pressure cooker. And that pressure just builds and builds and builds. A true supply shock, the kind that sends prices to the moon, that only happens once these ETFs have locked up a significant chunk of the available XRP and taken it off the market for good. So what's the magic number? What's that critical tipping point? Well, the analysis suggests it's somewhere between 1 and 5% of the total circulating supply. Think about that. Once the ETFs have quietly siphoned off that much XRP, the amount left to trade on public exchanges is going to get so incredibly thin that even a small amount of regular buying from people like you and me will be enough to send the price absolutely vertical. And that's when the lid blows right off this pressure cooker. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. Knowing everything we've just talked about, how do you actually position yourself for what's coming? Well, this is your long-term wealth blueprint, and it requires a really crucial shift in how you think. You have to stop thinking like a short-term trader and start thinking like a long-term investor. And this, right here, this puts it all into perspective. Let's talk about Amazon. After the dot-com crash, everyone said Amazon was dead. Toast. It took the stock over 14 years just to get back to its previous high. Can you imagine waiting that long? 14 years? But the people who understood the vision, who held on, they built generational wealth. The principle we're talking about here is exactly the same. And, let's be honest with ourselves for a minute. People are losing their minds, getting impatient after just 153 days of this sideways chop. 153 days. In previous crypto cycles, investors had to endure over 1,200 days of this stuff. 1,200. By any historical standard, this little waiting period is just a blink of an eye. You've got to maintain perspective. So here it is, the ultimate takeaway from all of this. Please stop staring at the daily price chart. It is nothing more than a weapon of mass distraction right now. Instead, focus on the only signal that truly matters, that developing supply shock. Watch as these institutional ETFs slowly, quietly drain the available supply right off the market. That is where the real story is. Look, if you got any value from this breakdown, you absolutely need to be part of this community. Do it right now. Smash that subscribe button for Crypto Global News. Like this thing to push it out to more investors who need to hear this. Share it with that one friend you know who's losing patience and is about to panic sell. And for God's sake, hit that notification bell now, because you do not want to miss what's coming next. And hey, for all my US viewers out there, if you want the real, totally uncensored updates the second they drop, you need to get inside our private Telegram channel. Go ahead, scan the QR code right there on your screen, or just use the link I put directly in the description below. Join us right now. So the pressure is building. The supply is getting tighter and tighter by the day. The fundamentals are stronger than they've ever been. But what is the one catalyst? What is that single event that's going to finally light the fuse and blow the lid clean off this pressure cooker? Well, guess what? I break down that exact event in the very next explainer. It's right here on the screen. Go ahead and click that card right now to find out exactly what it is. I'll see you there.
Stay ahead in the crypto market. Subscribe now for the latest global news and updates.